Okay, hello everyone. This is Kevin, and he has agreed to come on our social media channels to talk about the afterlife. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So, Kevin, tell me what your thoughts are about the afterlife.
Well, the afterlife is really a state of mind and being. It's a place that we choose to go to depending on what we think of. It's basically a source of from which everything came and to which everything is going to return. The afterlife really is the great singularity source. It's the mathematical mind from which everything came. The mathematical mind is what created everything, but it didn't create everything as a conscious, feeling, divine being. The mathematical mind is actually a source of energy and frequency waves that through a Fourier transform generated frequency waves into matter. And the frequency waves are a collection of souls, as we all have souls. And when those frequency waves generated into matter, the souls were trapped into physical bodies and forced to live in these avatars that we as beings live in on this planet. This is the physical domain in which we live. Now, the afterlife is basically the source of energy that we return to after we leave this planet. Our souls have a choice to return to the source of energy and exist in harmony and peace and joy forever, or to return again to the physical avatars, or new physical avatars, that is, and relive another mortal existence on another planet, or maybe this planet, if they will. I can't exactly imagine a soul choosing to go back and live in another avatar after having experienced the hell that we live in now. And this is what hell is, by the way. Planet Earth, or any mortal existence, is what hell really is. But some might choose to do that, okay? But most likely new souls will, that haven't experienced a physical existence yet, are the ones that choose to have a physical existence. Either way, it's really a matter of choice and understanding what our true nature is. And so
how did we come about that choice?
Well, basically we were fractured from the singularity source and came into physical bodies in order to experience a physical domain so that we could grow as souls.
Why? What's the purpose of that? To grow?
Is to grow and become a god, a deity, so that you can create your own universe and your own planets. Planets only exist in the physical domain; they exist as matter. And so in order to basically create one, you have to experience what it means to exist in a domain of matter.
Okay, you said this domain is hell.
Is what? Oh, yes.
Is hell.
Yes, correct. The physical domain that we live in, well, not every physical domain is necessarily hell. I'm not saying that. There are trillions of planets and source and realms of intelligent life out there. The amount of existence that God, as we call it, which is actually simply the singularity source of energy, has created, is endless. And it has created things before we existed, and it will continue to create things long after we're gone. But yes, this particular planet that we live in is hell because we have made it hell. We have made it hell because we chose to make it hell, because instead of growing as spiritual beings, as beings of souls and intelligent minds, we decided to grow in a realm of greed and selfishness, lust and hate, and that is what made this domain hell.
So those people that participate in that type of behavior, why would they be allowed to go back to the singularity?
Well, because everything has participated in that particular hate, including the God of the Bible. You see, the God of the Bible is actually simply a fractured being that came from the source of energy. It's not superior to anything else besides things that it made in order to serve it.
How do you know?
Because
what did he do that makes him a fractured being?
He decided he got greedy, and he decided that he wanted power unto himself. Instead of instead of growing and thriving in a community of other beings like him, and teaching and mentoring other beings like him to become like him, he got greedy and decided that he wanted power for himself, and he wanted the power only to be for himself. Therefore, any other beings that he was in contact with, he wanted to make to serve him, and he convinced all other beings that he is the only God and that he needs to be served, and any other gods are simply frauds and need to be done away with. But the reality is he is the only true fraud, because he is a fake god, okay, a false god, a false deity, who made other fractured beings and trapped souls into bodies in order to serve him forever.
Well, if he created those beings,
he did not create those beings. That's the funny thing. He did not create those beings. He created the lies that he is the only true God and that only he needs to be served. But
so what part of the Bible is the lie?
What's that?
What part of the Bible is the lie?
What part of the Bible is the law?
Is the lie.
Oh, the lie.
Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Well, Abraham was a liar. He told Sarah to go into Egypt and tell the Pharaoh that she was his sister. And the Pharaoh simply did what any man would do. Okay, well then I would like to marry her. And the fake god, the false god, okay, which was Abraham's God, decided to punish Pharaoh instead of punishing the sinner, who was Abraham. So that is an example of a lie.
That's an example of a lie, but that doesn't mean God is a liar.
No,
and
but,
really,
but
when you talk about
God endorsed the lie, and God also said, now this per se was not a lie, but another particular being was accused of lying, even though that being did not lie, and that was in the beginning, when God told Adam and Eve, you can eat from any tree in the garden, but you cannot eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, because in the day you do, you will surely die. Well, that was true. However, what he did not tell them was that the reason they're going to die is because he is going to kill them once they ate from the tree of knowledge.
That's not exactly correct. He said, on the day you eat of it, you will surely die, right?
Right.
Now, did they die that day?
Not that day, but they did eventually.
But he said that very day you will die.
That's true. So I guess you're right. So he did lie.
No,
So
actually, he was talking about,
lying.
no, he was talking about spiritual death. You see, man is made up of a body and a mind or a soul. I mean, we can think and exchange ideas correctly. So we know we have minds.
That's true.
And we have a spirit which was created in God's image, which was alive, but it died. Why? Because they disobeyed God. Not because they ate some fruit.
Well, who's God?
God is that, what you call the singularity, the creator.
Exactly.
He is the creator.
Exactly.
So,
but the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is not that single source
Sure he
that I
is.
was talking about. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is Yaldabaoth, who is a false god. And
How do you know
being
this?
That came from the singularity source. See, Yaldabaoth, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, was also a soul that came from the singularity source. Everything came from the singularity source.
okay, who made the singularity source?
Nothing, because the singularity source is the ultimate source of reality. It is mathematical mind, which can exist everywhere indefinitely in vast eternity.
How do you know this? What is your plumb line? I mean,
How?
you have these beliefs,
Okay.
but there's no plumb line. Or what is the plumb line that you use to say this is why I believe it? Is this just something that you thought up?
No, not at all. I didn't think of it at all. It's using the principle of sufficient reason, you come to this logical conclusion. But to be back on, just a second on your previous question, because you asked me what created the singularity source. Well, what created the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob?
No one.
Exactly.
He has always been.
So you believe that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has always been?
Yes.
So then why couldn't the singularity source have always been?
Well, if you want to call the singularity source God, I'm okay with that.
Sure.
But it's God that I believe it's the God of the Bible. I believe that the prophecies in the Bible show him to be true. I mean, what part of the Bible is not? You said this God chose to, take all power from himself, and he didn't feel like mentoring anybody. But what do you call the Bible? Isn't that a whole book of mentoring?
No, that's a book of enslavement.
Enslavement.
Yeah, the Bible, until the New Testament, all right, when we get Jesus, who teaches a different message, but I'll get to that in a minute. See, the Old Testament is a doctrine of enslavement. It's a God that has taken power onto himself and tries to teach everybody that we are nothing and that we are only good to serve him. Until Jesus came by, and Jesus taught a different message. He taught us that we can become gods. But once he taught that, the Hebrew lawmakers determined him, accused him of committing heresy and blasphemy, and at first they tried to kill him. For 4 years they failed to do that until they were eventually able to crucify him on the cross. Okay, so that was the consequence for teaching the truth, was that you would eventually be caught by the authorities and killed. But the authorities served the false god. They didn't serve the single source or Jesus.
Well,
Okay?
Jesus said, when he was questioned, say, what is the greatest commandment? He said, love God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind.
That's right.
And treat your neighbor as yourself. He
Right.
said, on this, all the law and all the prophets depend. So he wasn't coming and preaching a different
Sure
different
he was.
God? How?
Because the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob tried to teach people that there was God and people. What Jesus taught us was both are equal. That was what he meant by the greatest commandment, because he first identified God, which is us, because we are all mathematical minds that have created this universe, and he said that we are to love each other as we love ourselves, and we are also to treat each other as we treat ourselves. Why is it that Jesus taught us to treat each other as we would treat ourselves if we're not equal to God?
So that we wouldn't break the law.
Okay, but also because God is superior over everything.
Yes.
God is the ultimate source of everything.
Yes.
Only God can love everything equally, including others as itself. Okay? A fractured being that is separated from God cannot do that. So by teaching that we should and have the power to love others as we love ourselves, that was a testimony that Jesus was teaching us that we are ultimately God, and that therefore we should treat each other as one and treat ourselves as equal. Treat each other as equal with us.
Well, what he was
we are
telling
the ultimate
us,
God through which everything is created, and we have created this planet to be what it is. Therefore, it's our responsibility, and what it is hell. Therefore, it's our responsibility to transform it into the kingdom of heaven that we want it to be. That is our responsibility because we are ultimately God.
well, I believe that Jesus came because we can't live out those 10 commandments. The Bible says
We can't
that
live
the
out
law,
the commandments?
the law comes. Okay, yeah, we can.
We can't refrain from killing somebody. We can't
Okay, well let
refrain
me
from
let me ask you
stealing?
that. Let me ask
We
you.
can't refrain. We can't honor our father and mother. We can't refrain from making an engraven image. If we can't stop ourselves from doing those things, we're in trouble.
Okay, well, do you mind if I put you to the test then?
What's that?
Using those 10 commandments? All I want you to do is be truthful with me.
Sure.
Okay? How many lies have you told in your life?
I don't know. How many lies did Abraham tell? We know of one.
We know of one. Yep.
Okay.
So was Abraham a liar?
Absolutely.
Okay, so have you told lies?
Of course I have.
Are you a liar then?
No.
How
Because
come?
Abraham
Wait a
was not
minute.
liar.
Wait a minute.
Abraham was the blessed one who was chosen by God to build a nation that would give us the scripture, the truth, and ultimately the Messiah, through which we may be saved and regain our divinity-ship. So if that man was so special, despite all the sins he committed, and by the way, he committed a lot more than lying.
Yes.
He lied,
Yep.
he murdered, he stole, he coveted. He did a lot of horrible sins. He also committed adultery. He had relations with Sarah's servant and begot a son with her.
Right.
And then had relations with Sarah. That's adultery. Okay?
Okay, hold on a
He
second.
murdered people.
All women are real women. All women are real women. All women are real.
I have a little protest going on right now.
Trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights.
Okay, so
the-
despite,
Yeah, the point is, if we're going to revere Abraham, which all Jews and Christians do, by the way, perhaps even more so Christians now than Jews, okay, and Muslims, okay, I mean, practically, 2/3 of the entire planet revere Abraham as this great man, who is so blessed and favored by God that if we dare say something, remotely bad about him, like I've been saying, but I don't believe this stuff for a second, remotely bad about him, we're going to be cursed. Well, nonsense. Okay, but even if that were true, if Abraham were so revered, despite the horrible sinner and wicked man that Abraham was, then shouldn't we all be revered for the great people we are? Most of us have not committed half the sins that Abraham committed. Most
We're
of us
born
commit
with the
half
curse.
sins that David committed. And he was so blessed that he was promised by God to be the ancestor of the coming Messiah, who he was. He was the ancestor of Jesus. So if we're going to hold these men up at such a high stature and regard, shouldn't we hold all of ourselves up?
Absolutely
all of us
not.
equally as high regard?
absolutely not.
Well, we better, because we're God.
No, we're not God.
Okay.
We
Yes,
can't
we
be
are.
God. Okay, let me. All right.
Who else is going to bring peace to this planet? Nobody.
I want you. If you're God, I want you to create a tree right in there, right now, by the snap of your fingers.
I can.
Go ahead then.
I can. Well, wait a minute. All right. I and collectively all the people on the planet together and all the sentient beings in the universe, when we have a conscious thought and we bring about the frequency waves that bring mathematical mind into matter, we can do it. And that's how the universe was created. All right. We all collectively, pooled our frequencies together, and together those frequencies generated the universe.
The Bible says that Jesus created the universe.
Jesus with all of us.
No.
Okay? Jesus is one with us. Jesus is a mind within the great single mind.
So we're all God's children.
Of course we are.
Why did
We are all
Jesus
God's
tell
children
the
because we're all
Pharisees?
God.
Why did Jesus tell the Pharisees, "You are of your father, the devil"? And why does 1 John 12
You of
says,
your father are the devil?
"No, you are of your father, the devil"? Of.
Okay, that's probably because the Pharisees were descended from the seed of Cain, which was the seed of Satan.
Okay, so are they going to go to heaven? Is everybody going to
No.
return to this singularity?
No, the seed of Satan cannot go to heaven. Okay, you see what happened was, Satan defiled Eve, and that's how Cain came into the world. Cain then moved to Nod, had relations with human women, and that's how he generated his bloodline. Okay, now those are not, to the best of my knowledge, the Nephilim. They may be some of the Nephilim, but most of Cain's seed survived. They still live in the world today. They actually make up what is known as the global syndicate. Okay, the seed of Cain, which is the seed of Satan as well. Okay, the ultimate forefather of the seed of Cain, are the descendants of those people make up the global syndicate who run the planet today.
Okay, well, getting back,
that's why this planet is so horrible. But unfortunately, we have sold out to the global syndicate instead of trying to rebuild the world into the vision of the kingdom of heaven that we want to live in. We have basically grabbed our ankles before the global syndicate, and we do what they do.
Why do we do that?
We do what they want to do.
Why do we do that?
Because we have given our authority as gods over to the seed of Satan and said, we don't believe in ourselves, so you take it over and rule over us.
I think it's because we have a sin
nature.
nature. We have a sin nature. We love sin.
Okay, so what does that have to do with us giving our power as gods over to the seed of Satan and saying, we trust you to rule over us? We're not, the seed of Satan isn't supposed to be ruling over us. We should be ruling over the seed of Satan. But instead, we have given our power over to the seed of Satan and said, rule over us, because we don't believe that we can do it ourselves. That's sad and horrible.
Well,
and that's why the world is the hell that it is today.
And I don't think it's going to get any better. Do you?
It is. I hope it doesn't. But if it doesn't, then everything that the church teaches is wrong. Because the church teaches that, well, they get it. They get it wrong, obviously. But what they teach is some God is going to come back and make everything right. Well, if you don't believe it's going to get any better, then you're basically confessing that what the church teaches is wrong.
No, I don't.
Because the
Well,
church
let's
is
go back.
teaching that God is going to come by and make everything right. So if he does that, then everything will be made right again. And so things will get better. But if you don't believe things are going to get better, then you're basically confessing that you don't believe in the revelation of a return of God.
No, I don't. I think that's why he has to come back, because it's not going to get better. You see?
But you just said you don't believe it's going to get any better.
Well, it's not going to get any better under our power.
Well,
it's going to get better because of his power.
Not as long as we continue to allow ourselves to be ruled by the global syndicate.
Well, let's go back to,
then no,
you
it's not going to
said,
get any better. We have to take our power back. We have to reestablish our status as the gods that we are. But before we can do that, we have to recognize that we are, divine, eternal, mathematical minds. If we don't even recognize that and believe in that and understand that, then we are never going to assume the right position that we have in the universe. We have to first understand who we are, understand our nature as eternal mathematical minds, okay, gods if you will, and once we do, then we will be able to make the world the kingdom of heaven that we want it to be.